It's a quiet word, isn't it? Soft, yet strong. A word that carries so much weight, yet feels so gentle. It's the kind of word that can calm a storm, steady a trembling heart, and bring light to the darkest night. And in the book of Hebrews, faith is painted like a quiet river, steady, unwavering, and life-giving. Today, let's rest in the peace of steadfast faith as we journey through Hebrews together. The letter begins with a whisper, a reminder that God has spoken. Long ago, at many times and in many ways, God spoke to our fathers by the prophets, but in these last days, He has spoken to us by His Son. Hebrews 1:1-2. This is the foundation of our faith, a faith built not on shifting sands, but on the eternal, unchanging Word of God. And when we rest in that truth, we find peace. A peace that doesn't depend on our circumstances, but on the one who holds all things together. Hebrews 11, often called the Hall of Faith, is like a gentle melody. It tells the stories of men and women who walked by faith, not by sight. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. Their lives were not perfect. They faced trials, doubts, and fears, but they chose to trust God, even when the path ahead was unclear. And in their stories, we find a quiet strength, a reminder that faith is not about having all the answers, but about trusting the one who does. Think of Noah. By faith, Noah, being warned by God concerning events as yet unseen, in reverent fear constructed an ark for the saving of his household. Hebrews 11:7. God asked him to build an ark, a task that must have seemed impossible. There was no rain, no flood, no sign of what was to come. But Noah trusted God. He worked in quiet obedience, step by step, until the ark was complete. And when the rains came, Noah and his family were safe. His faith was steadfast, not because he understood everything, but because he trusted the one who called him. Then there's Abraham. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. And he went out, not knowing where he was going. Hebrews 11:8. God told him to leave his home and go to a land he had never seen. Abraham didn't know where he was going, but he went. He trusted God's promise, even when it seemed impossible. And through his faith, God brought forth a nation, a people who would carry his promises into the world. Abraham's faith was like a quiet stream, flowing steadily toward the future God had prepared. These stories remind us that faith is not loud or flashy. It's often quiet, patient, and persistent. It's the kind of faith that whispers, "Even if I don't understand, I will trust you." And in that trust, we find peace. Hebrews 12 invites us to fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. Let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. Hebrews 12:1-2. He is the quiet center of it all, the one who endured the cross, not because it was easy, but because he saw the joy set before him. His faith was steadfast, even in the face of suffering, and because of his faith, we can rest in the assurance that our faith is not in vain. The writer of Hebrews tells us that we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, those who have gone before us and lived by faith. Their stories are like a gentle breeze, reminding us that we are not alone. We are part of something bigger, a story of faith that stretches across generations. And in that story, we find comfort. But perhaps the most peaceful reminder in Hebrews is this: our faith is anchored in hope. We have this as a sure and steadfast anchor of the soul, a hope that enters into the inner place behind the curtain, where Jesus has gone as a forerunner on our behalf. Hebrews 6:19-20. An anchor doesn't fight the waves, it rests beneath them, holding steady no matter how rough the surface may be. And that's what our faith is like. It's not about striving or struggling, it's about resting in the promises of God, knowing that He is faithful. So, how do we cultivate this kind of faith? Hebrews gives us gentle guidance. First, we are encouraged to fix our eyes on Jesus. Consider Him who endured from sinners such hostility against Himself, so that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted. Hebrews 12:3. When we focus on Him, the noise of the world fades away. We are reminded of His love, His grace, and His promises, and in His presence, we find peace. Second, we are called to encourage one another. Let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. Hebrews 10:24-25. Faith is not a solitary journey. It's a shared path, walked together with others who remind us of God's faithfulness. When we share our struggles and our joys, we strengthen each other's faith. We become a community of hope, holding each other up in quiet solidarity. And finally, we are reminded to hold on to hope. Let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for He who promised is faithful. Hebrews 10:23. Our faith is not in our own strength, but in the faithfulness of God. And because He is faithful, we can rest, we can trust, we can have peace. So, if you're feeling weary today, let these words wash over you like a gentle wave. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to rest in the steadfast love of God. Fix your eyes on Jesus. Lean into the quiet strength of faith, and know that you are held by the one who is faithful, always. May your heart find peace in the quiet assurance of steadfast faith. And may you rest in the promise that He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. Until next time, let your faith be a quiet river, steady, unwavering, and full of life.